This is a B4 bioenergetics video looking at an introduction to photosynthesis, and we'll be looking at the photosynthetic reaction. Before we go on to that, let's look at plants in general, bit of a recap and some key points. So, structure of the plant, we have the leaf. The leaf is really well adapted in itself. It's thin, okay, so light can get through to most cells. Broad, so very flat and wide. Large network of veins, and in the veins we've got the xylem and the phloem. Xylem carrying the water and the minerals, phloem carrying the sugar. It's full of chlorophyll, that's why leaves are green, and it's the chlorophyll that absorbs light to allow photosynthesis to work. It has a waxy cuticle, so it allows water to drip off the surface of the leaves. We call them drip tips, feeding the water down to the roots. Also reduces water loss from the top of the leaf. Leaves never overlap, okay, so having leaves that one right underneath another one, it wouldn't get any light, so they spread out so that they don't overlap. And the palisade cells, which is a tricky word, okay, it's one that people tend to forget. The palisade cells, it's the second layer of the leaf just here, and these are the cells that do the photosynthesis. Okay, they're near the top but not at the top, and they've got guard cells at the bottom for gas exchange, and water is lost through those guard cells. No water goes in through the guard cells, but water is lost from the guard cells. But the primary function of the guard cells, two cells surrounding the stomata, which is the hole in which the gases exchange, is gas exchange. Okay, so the point of having them is for gas exchange. A sideline is that water evaporates out of them, but that's not the purpose. We've got the organs of the plant. So an organ is a collection of tissues working together. So the leaf is an organ, the stem is an organ, the roots are an organ, and the flower is an organ. And we can see from that picture top right that we've got light energy being absorbed by the chlorophyll. We've got carbon dioxide going in the leaves. We've got water going in the roots. We've got oxygen being produced and lost through those leaves again. And we've got glucose, and the arrow there is just pointing to within the leaf. So we've got the glucose in the leaf, and then that's transported around the plant for use in respiration. Energy changes. Now, we can describe photosynthesis as endothermic, okay? It's using that light energy for the reaction to occur. And if it's taking in energy like that, we say it's endothermic, okay? The opposite of photosynthesis is respiration, and we would describe respiration as exothermic because it's releasing energy. So photosynthesis is endothermic, respiration, exothermic. What is photosynthesis and where does it happen? Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction. It takes place in the chloroplasts of green plant cells. Okay, we called those cells where it occurs the palisade cells. Okay, so we've got the upper epidermis, we've got palisade cells full of chloroplasts, lots and lots of photosynthesis going on. The spongy mesophyll below has some chloroplasts, there's some photosynthesis occurring there. And then we've got the lower epidermis, which is where we find our guard cells. So most of that photosynthesis is occurring in the palisade cells, and that light energy is used to convert the carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. And photosynthesis requires enzymes. Let's have a look at the photosynthesis equation. Okay, now what's really interesting about this is that the light and the chlorophyll are on the arrow. They are needed for photosynthesis to occur, but they are not reactants and they are not products. It's kind of like the carbon dioxide and water are the ingredients of the cake, and the light and the chlorophyll need to be there. They're like the oven cooking the cake, and then the glucose and the oxygen are the completed cake when it's been cooked. Okay, so the light and the chlorophyll need to be there for photosynthesis to occur. So reactants, we've got the carbon dioxide. I said that diffuses into the leaf. Okay, diffusion is high concentration of carbon dioxide outside the leaf, moves to low concentration inside the leaf. The water, moves into the roots from the ground by osmosis, moves through that xylem by transpiration. And then those two reactants react together in the process of photosynthesis, the chemical reaction that is photosynthesis, to create glucose and oxygen. The glucose is the plant's food, and we'll talk about the 5 uses of glucose later on. The oxygen is a byproduct. Okay, so that leaves the leaf by diffusion. Okay, high concentration of oxygen inside the leaf, low concentration outside the leaf, so it moves out by diffusion. And we've got the symbol equation there as well, and you can see important things to note. Glucose, C6H12O6. Okay, it's like the 6's are the sandwich bread and the 12 is the filling. Add the 6's together, you get the filling, which is the 12. Okay, 6, 12, 6. And for all of the other chemicals involved, CO2, fairly straightforward, H2O, fairly straightforward, O2, fairly straightforward, and then it's 6 to balance it, so you don't have to waste time balancing in the exam. It's 6, 6, and 6. Nothing in front of the glucose, but 6 in front of everything else. And as I said before, if you turn that arrow round, you've got respiration. Okay, but this reaction, this way around, because it's taking in light energy, is an endothermic reaction. Let's have a closer look at chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll is a pigment found in chloroplasts. It makes the leaves green. It absorbs light. Now that's a fact that lots of people tend to forget. Chlorophyll absorbs the light. So a green leaf will absorb light and therefore be able to photosynthesize. And we can see this is a real picture looking at some of the chloroplasts with the chlorophyll inside in some plant cells, in the palisade cells. Here we have a variegated leaf, okay? If we had another leaf of the same size that was full of chlorophyll all over, it would photosynthesize at a faster rate. These white sections of the variegated leaf do not have chlorophyll. Those parts of the leaf do not photosynthesize. Sometimes we have red leaves, okay? Some plants are red. And it's not that they don't have chlorophyll. It's not that they don't photosynthesize. They do have chlorophyll, but there's another pigment that allows them to be red that kind of masks the chlorophyll content. But the chlorophyll is there, they're still photosynthesizing, they still have that green pigment, but their red pigment just kind of overpowers it in a way. And I've said a few times already that the energy changes, the light energy transfers, that's the transfer, to the chemical store, okay, of the glucose. And it's an endothermic reaction because it's taking in that energy for the reaction to occur. Hope you found that useful. Thank you.